At Marlins Park in Miami, the New York Mets play the Miami Marlins. Tuesday Night Baseball is presented by Verizon. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon, the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network in America. By Bob's Discount Furniture. Shop in store or online at mybobs.com. And by Citi, preferred card of the New York Mets. Well, since we last joined you, the Mets have switched coasts from the blue waters of the Pacific to the blue waters of the Atlantic. Sailboats on McCovey Cove, sailboats in South Florida, sun and sand in LA. Well, you get the idea. The Mets are in Miami to play a series against the Marlins. The last time the Mets were here in April, a compelling series. The Mets and Marlins played 16 innings in Game 1. Travis d'Arnaud provided the go-ahead runs with a home run in the 16th inning. The rest, well, it was a rough series for the Mets bullpen. JT Realmuto, RBI double, bottom of the ninth. His first career walk-off hit. Yelich and Stanton go back-to-back in Game 3 in the 8th inning. And then the bottom of the ninth of Game 4, JT Riddle, his first big league home run, a walk-off shot. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Miami. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Marlins. Starting in San Francisco over the weekend, the Mets able to take advantage of the lowly Giants and hoping to do the same against the Marlins and then the Phillies before they face the Nationals next week. 2 important weeks for the Mets before the All-Star break.
Well, Gary, I missed you in California, but I watched the games. I felt like Pacino in Godfather 3. Every time I want to get out, they keep pulling me back in. Dodgers series, of course, a blow-up. Great against San Francisco, like you said. But always the key for any ball club as you're getting to the All-Star break is how you kind of run through the tape. You got the Marlins who have been better, but they're not a top-of-the-line team right now. Phillies can't even get out of their own way. You hope to make up some magic against those Nationals, and then the Cardinals have not played like the Cardinals of old.
Meanwhile, the Nationals are playing the Cubs this week. Lost the first game of their series last night. The Mets are 10.5 behind, a huge margin, but one they hope to be able to cut some from before the All-Star break. Robert Gsellman goes to the mound for the Mets tonight, and the Mets need for him to be a lot better than his last 2 starts.
You know, the Mets have figured out how to play when Jacob deGrom pitches. They haven't figured out how to play when some of their other pitchers pitch. Gsellman, his last 2 starts, 15 runs. He's going to have to figure out how to get that ball down, how to get that sinker over the plate.
Starting pitching's been an enormous concern for the Marlins all year, but Dan Streley's been their best.
14-game winner for Cincinnati last year, a steal to get him over to Florida. You see in his last outing against Washington, Streley is a guy more deception than power.
So the Mets will try and get off the good foot in Miami tonight. Start of a 3-game series, the back end of a 10-game road trip. It's the Mets and the Marlins, all the action coming your way tonight on SNY. Is brought to you by Verizon, the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network in America. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. By New York Community Bank and the NYCB family of banks. Visit them at mynycb.com. Crush home runs and dominate in your very own Derby competition in the official MLB.com Home Run Derby game on the App Store or Google Play. Swing for the fences against more than 10 million players from around the world as your favorite Derby All-Star. Download Home Run Derby for free today. Tonight's quote of the game presented by Investors Bank, banking in your best interest. Don Mattingly not looking for 9 from his starters or even 7. Sprint. Go as long as you can. We'll take it from there. Not designed to provide longevity for your bullpen over the course of the season, but what the heck.
Not designed to keep me in the booth.
The Mets and Mattingly's Marlins. First pitch coming right up. On Sunday, seen by the doctor today. Terry Collins thinks he can pinch hit, but not in the starting lineup. The red-hot Curtis Granderson stays atop the batting order as the Mets go up against Dan Straley for the second time this year.
Well, Straley is an interesting case in point. Last year, 14 wins in Cincinnati, but he gave up the gopher ball and he walked a lot of batters. This year, especially here at home, he's made his mark. He's walking less, not giving up as many home runs, but he's really been their best starter as you look at his Toyota numbers.
Curtis Granderson could not be hotter right now. Went 5 for 11 with 4 walks in the series in San Francisco. He's homered 3 times in the last 5 games. His on-base percentage in the month of June is a hefty .468. So right now it's hard to get Curtis out of the lineup. Conforto's hand injury suffices for right now. First pitch of the night by Straley is in for a call strike, and we're underway. Straley now 28 years old. 5 major league teams in 6 years. That's drilled in the air deep down the right field line, headed toward the pole, and it hits the foul pole. Another leadoff home run for Curtis Granderson. He hit 2 of them in back-to-back games in Los Angeles. He hits another leadoff home run. His Mets record 21st in a Mets uniform, and the Mets get an instant 1-0 lead on the second pitch of the game.
Well, if you want to throw down and in to Curtis right now, he is sizzling hot. You are not going to get the baseball back, and that's what happened to Dan Straley on that pitch there.
Well, you mentioned last year Straley was king of the Gopher Balls. 31 home runs, led the National League, pitching in a bandbox in Cincinnati. That's only the 11th he's allowed this year. Very few pitchers are trending downward in the home run department this year.
Tried to come in with a little cutter, bled out over the middle of the plate, down thigh high, and hit the foul pole.
Quickly 0-2 on Cabrera. 45 career leadoff home runs now for Granderson. 21 as a Met. 2 more than Jose Reyes. That's pulled by Cabrera right into the glove of Justin Bour for the first out of the night. Well, the Mets already have more hits against Straley than they did the first time they faced him this year. He was pulled with a no-hit bid intact after 5 1/3.
You know, Gary, but he had 93 pitches. He walked 5. He had one of those no-hitters where he was all over the place, was conveniently wild to get through those 16 outs. But you know, the relievers came on and it looked like the Mets were going to get no hit that day.
Well, it wound up a no decision game that's tied it and then lost it late. Here's Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes has had success in this ballpark, and he has been hitting for a high average since coming back from the DL. 14 games, hitting .375. Trying to get his power game cranked up, and Straley falls behind him 2-0.
Correction to that, Granderson, though, 45th of his career, 4 or 5.
And that one's up and away to Cespedes, 3-0. Jay Bruce waiting on deck. Mets have now hit 47 home runs in June, the most they've hit in any month in club history. Records falling in every category for home runs all across baseball, and the Mets are no exception. You see the recent numbers for Cespedes off the DL, and a good slider by Straley has him lunging. 3-2.
The one thing that Straley has going for him is when he's behind in the count, you will very rarely see that fastball. He goes with that slider.
And he goes right back to it to strike out Cespedes for the second out. So Straley comes from behind in the count to get Cespedes 2 away.
That was a tight slider, but it started away and moved away. That's a pitch usually Cespedes lays off of.
So now Jay Bruce with 2 out and nobody on. Full shift on the infield as he takes a fastball inside. Well, of the 47 home runs the Mets have hit in June, Jay has hit the most. He's got 8 this month. And taking all the way on 1-0. That's
I think he asked the umpire for time, didn't get it. That's why. Having a little laugh about it. If he does it again, they won't have a laugh about it, I'll tell you that. Marty Foster behind the plate.
Trying to slow Straley down a little bit. And Jay goes after it, and it's 1-2. Marty Foster calling the balls and strikes tonight. Mike McClinsky at first, Ryan Blakeney at second, and the crew chief Mark Wegner working at third.
I'm sure you saw that, Gary. Their shift, as soon as it got to 2 strikes, Riddle went back to the shortstop position, and Prado went to the right of second base.
Why?
I have no idea.
Here's the 1-2. And it's off the plate, a changeup from Straley, and it's 2-2. Bruce with 20 home runs, first Met to reach 20 before July 1st since 2006, when both Carlos Beltran and Carlos Delgado did it. And he hits one into the shift. D. Gordon on the outfield grass throws him out, inning over, but a fast start for the Mets thanks to Curtis Granderson for the 3rd time on this road trip. Curtis goes deep off the foul pole, his 11th home run of the year. And the Mets hand Robert Gsellman a 1-0 lead in Miami. The Marlins, Stanton and Ozuna each with 20 home runs. Bohr has 18, speaking of home runs.
Land Rover numbers for Robert Gsellman. That was pretty strong sound for the Land Rover, but he's made a mess of the season in his last 2 starts.
Well, the Land Rover revved. Gsellman needs to get revved quicker. His first innings have been troublesome all year. ERA against him in the first is 10.38. And D. Gordon takes a strike, and it's 0-2.
You and I both noticed he was throwing in the outfield 5 minutes before 7, which is very late for a starting pitcher to not be in the bullpen on the mound.
Over the mound, tough play to his right. Cabrera can't make the bare hand stop. Gordon ran through the bag at first. Otherwise, he might have been thinking about 2. Once it got past the mound with Gordon's speed, that was the only chance Cabrera had, was to try to make a bare hand stop, and came up empty.
Well, this is the toughest play he's had at second base. I don't like that play bare hand because, one, I don't think the chances of you making that play are good, and second, if he sees that early enough, he turns that into a double.
Cabrera played wonderfully at second base the 2 games he played there in San Francisco. Played shortstop on Sunday. Well, here's Giancarlo Stanton, moved up to the 2 spot in the batting order a month ago, and it has paid off for him. Stanton's numbers have been much improved since moving up to the 2 spot. In 29 games, hitting .296, 9 homers, 19 RBIs in this spot in the batting order. Gordon 29 steals on the year, second in the National League behind Billy Hamilton. And Stanton takes a fastball for a strike. Those are the numbers for Stanton as a number 2 hitter. Now has 228 career home runs at the age of 27. 31 of them against the Mets.
Well, the recipe for success for Gsellman, and it's going to be hard because he's given up 20 hits in his last 9 in the 3rd inning. 6 of those have been home runs. He's going to have to pound Stanton and Ozuna in. He's going to have to get some ground balls from these tough right-handed hitters.
Slowly hit. Flores waits on it, and did he get the out at second? He did. Very close play. Flores had trouble getting rid of that ball and was fortunate to get the force on Gordon at second for the first down.
Wasn't hit hard, but he cradled it in his breadbasket and got off a very soft throw. And with the speed of Gordon, it was very close.
So that's the first out. Stanton now at first. And Christian Yelich coming up. It's been an odd year for Yelich after a terrific breakout season last year.
See, the thing about Wilmer, sometimes when you watch him, there's not a lot of urgency when he's catching the ball. He's got to know the runner, Gordon, is as fast as anyone in the game.
He seems to be more in rhythm and get rid of the ball better when he's on the move.
I agree.
When he's stagnant fielding the ball, it's very hard for him to get a good throwaway.
He plays cautious and careful.
Yelich lines one the other way, and he's got a base hit. Stanton pulls in at second, and the Marlins have something working. First and second and 1 out. And Marcell Ozuna coming up.
Just a sinking fastball away. Yelich, who's had a strange season for him. I always think of him as a perennial 300 hitter, only hitting in the 260s, but that's the Yelich we usually see.
Well, Marcell Ozuna having an all-star kind of a year. 10th in the National League in batting, tied for second in home runs, top 10 in RBIs, 6th in slugging percentage, and he has crushed Robert Gsellman. Gsellman's made 3 starts against the Marlins. Ozuna has homered in every one of them. So a big moment early in this game for Gsellman, whose first inning difficulties have followed him all year. First and second and 1 out. And Ozuna hits a number. Out to get it is d'Arnaud. Gets the out at first, 2 away.
Good play by d'Arnaud. Defense, Lex's defense for the Mets. Cespedes, Granderson, and Bruce. Conforto still nursing that hurt wrist. Flores, Reyes, and Cabrera up the middle, with Lucas, of course, at first base. And after the big game on Sunday by Rivera, d'Arnaud back behind the plate.
So now it's Justin Bour with 2 in scoring position and 2 out. Bour, after missing nearly half a season last year with an ankle problem, has bounced back with his best year to date, and he's been red hot. 2nd and 3rd and 2 out, and Gsellman keeps it away from him, ball 1. Gsellman against the Nats and the Dodgers, struggling in both games, a 13.5 ERA combined in those 2 starts.
I'd be tempted to put him on base here, Gary.
You got Martin Prado on deck. And a knee-high strike. Bour, since the 30th of April, is hitting .345 with 15 home runs.
He's a very streaky player. He's a little bit like Lucas in that way. When he gets red hot, he doesn't miss a lot of mistakes.
2-1 to Bour. Well, Gsellman looked like he was out of the woods before those last 2 starts. He had come back from a stint in the bullpen. He had thrown 4 good starts in a row, but against 2 very powerful teams in Washington and LA, it blew up on him. Broken bat foul, and Bour will go back to replace his shattered piece of lumber.
That was a good choice by Robert there. 2-1 count, didn't give in to Bour, threw a slider in on his hands.
Well, you know, Gsellman's troubles were pretty emblematic of what befell the Mets in that week-plus period when they played the Nats and the Dodgers. Lost 7 of 8. Rebounded over the weekend to sweep the Giants 3 games, and now hoping for better times ahead.
Careful is the key here. Slider off the plate in, or change up in the dirt. That's why d'Arnaud's going out there. Very important pitch right here. These next 2. You know, he's had the troubles that you've mentioned in the first inning. Got to get this right. Make sure that Bour goes out of the strike zone. Don't throw him a strike. He'll go out of the strike zone for you because he wants to drive in these 2 runners. Use his impatience against him.
Bour is looking for his first hit against Gsellman. 0 for 7 in his career. Stanton at 3rd, Yelich at 2nd with 2 down. 2-2 coming. Off the corner, full count. Now the 3-2. Whacked into right field. A base hit from Bour. Stanton is in. Yelich right behind him. Bruce's throw is cut off. Justin Bour with a 2-run single. And the Marlins go in front 2-1.
What happens to 23-year-old pitchers, Gary? You get the 3-2. You feel like if you only throw a breaking ball for a strike, that's all you have to do. It's going to fool the hitter. It's not going to if it's for a strike. Yelich had a great secondary lead, and he has great speed for a tall player.
So first inning troubles, jump up and bite Gsellman again. A seeing eye hit by Gordon. Yelich with a base hit, and Bour drives 2 runs in. Now it's Martin Prado, recently back from his 2nd trip to the disabled list this year. Remember, he got hurt against the Mets. Missed 41 games. He's only had 79 at bats this year. Started the season on the DL with hamstring problems, which then recurred.
See, the thing about a slider when you throw it for a strike to a lefty, where is it? It's down and in. It's where left-handers love the pitch. Now, if you bottom that out, you might have a chance he swings over the top of it. But for a strike, you're playing into their zone.
2 RBIs give Bohr 50 runs batted in for the season. Curveball off the plate, 2-1. JT Realmuto would be next. And the slider misses, 3-1. So Gsellman tried something different tonight. He went to the bullpen a little bit later, and after 2 bad starts in a row, he gets nailed for a couple of runs already in the first inning. How does that play psychologically?
Big time, Gary. It really wears on whatever confidence you have left.
That's lined down the left field line by Prado. That'll go into the corner. Bohr lumbers to third as Cespedes chases it. Bohr is being waved home, and Cespedes did not make much of an effort on that throw, and Bohr scores easily. It's an RBI double for Martin Prado, and it's 3-1 Miami.
Well, fastball down and in. Prado was all over it. And once he hooked it down this line, if you notice it, when it gets to the line, we don't see it from that shot, it stopped against the fence and didn't bounce back. Bohr doesn't run that well, but with 2 outs, he's busting as hard as he can go. And of course, Freddie with 2 outs, Freddie Gonzalez, third base coach, is going to send him with 2 outs. But that ball is supposed to be a fastball down and away, and it's middle, down and in. And watch this ball when it goes to the corner. It never bounces back. It kind of stays right on the line. And Cespedes should show much more effort than that to get it in with Bohr running. Should not take that for granted. What if the runner loses a step, trips a little bit?
So 3 runs are in, all scoring after 2 are out. And after a trip to the mound by Dan Worthen, Gsellman will try and settle in as he takes on JT Realmuto. Realmuto is 3 for 5 in his career against Gsellman. And this year hitting over 400 against Mets pitching. Marlins have beaten the Mets 6 of 10 already this year, including 3 of 4 in the series here in April. And Realmuto had the game-winning hit in one of those games back in April. Run scoring double against Josh Edgin to give the Marlins a win. Fastball pops for a strike, and it's 0-2. Knocks down the curveball in the dirt, 1-2. Well, those are the numbers so far between these 2 teams. Ozuna and Realmuto and Stanton, all with big numbers against the Mets this year.
And who would have thought the Marlins have outpitched the Mets in the series so far this year?
And Realmuto down on the fastball to end the inning. But an eventful first inning. Granderson homers in the top. Marlins get 3 against Gsellman in the bottom. June 30th for Free Shirt Friday when the Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10. All fans in attendance will receive a Yoenis Cespedes t-shirt courtesy of Dunkin' Donuts. For tickets, visit Mets.com/FreeShirtFridays. Lucas Duda leads off the second inning against Dan Straley, who's been staked to a 2-run lead. And after the first strike, the Marlins flip-flop their third baseman and shortstop. Duda had a good series in San Francisco, 5 for 14 with 3 doubles and a home run. Everybody had a good series in San Francisco,
right?
Or so it felt. Mets had 44 hits in the 3 games. Straley runs one inside. It's 1-2.
That's as bad a place that a Giant team has been in some time.
And yet, last night they bounced back and demolished the Rockies. Explain that. Maybe more reflective of where Colorado's going.
That's right. Colorado's on not as bad a streak, but this is the first bad streak they've hit.
2-2 coming, and Duda pops one up. Alone on that left side is Riddle trying to get there. In comes Ozuna, and he does make the catch. Riddle was not going to get there, so Ozuna had to, and that's the first out of the inning.
Well, it's a little changeup away from Straley. Just poked the left field. You're right. Riddle wasn't going to make the play. Ozuna with that good speed did.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Wilmer Flores, who had himself quite a time in San Francisco after a dreadful series in Los Angeles. He went 7 for 11 with 3 doubles and a home run at AT&T Park.
And that's after all those left-handers in L.A.
Ball and a strike to Wilmer.
Kershaw, almost human.
Well, he did give up 4 home runs.
No.
Still won the game. Hammered foul, 1-2. The Mets had 4 more home runs on Sunday. 4 home run games seem to be routine now.
What a year Rene Rivera's having, right? This is his best offensive year as a big leaguer. I remember Benji Molina was always known as a defensive catcher, and then late in his career with San Francisco, Texas, he figured out how to hit and was a good offensive player at the end of his career.
Well, those are his numbers so far this year. He had a remarkable stretch earlier this season when you just couldn't get him out. Interesting piece of trivia: after Rivera hit the 2 home runs on Sunday, Darno had a 2 home run game earlier this year. It's the first time in a long time that the Mets have had 2 catchers each have a multiple home run game in the same season. Popped up in foul ground. Moore hoping for a play to the railing, but runs over. And Flores stays alive.
Is Coors Light defense for the Marlins, one of the best defensive and offensive outfields in all of baseball. Yelich, 2014 Gold Glove. Around their infield, Riddle's going to be their new shortstop with Echeverria traded to the Rays. D. Gordon, 2015 Gold Glove. And Rio Muto, I think, is one of the fine young catchers in all the game.
8th pitch to Flores, and it bounces in. So 2004, Mike Piazza and Jason Phillips, both catchers, had 2 home run games, and the only other time it happened in Mets history, you got to go back to 1965. Hawk Taylor and Johnny Stevenson.
What a great name.
Each had a 2 home run game.
Hawk Taylor.
Down the right field side, Stanton coming over. And Flores retired, 2 out.
Only one who doesn't care about the multiple home run games, Cody Bellinger, probably, since he has so many himself.
Not a catcher.
I know, but it's like, that's easy.
Well, when you swing as hard as he does on every at bat. Here's Jose Reyes. Reyes 2 hits shy of Ed Kranepool's mark of 1,418 hits as a Met. Reyes third on the all-time list. Kranepool second, both trailing David Wright. Out to right field, and Stanton is there. 3 fly ball outs for Strelly after he gets the lead. 1-2-3 go the Mets. 3-1 Miami. Be at Citi Field this Saturday. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive an Asdrubal Cabrera bobblehead doll, courtesy of Citi. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. So what exactly is that called?
I don't know exactly what happens, but what happens is the water comes through the hose.
JT Riddle lays down a gorgeous bunt. No choice but to let it roll. Flores does, and it barely goes foul before it gets to the bag.
Great choice by Wilmer.
Well, there was no way in the world he was going to throw Riddle out had he picked it up. So let it roll, see what happens, and Mets get a positive result at the last possible moment.
Once it got on that dirt, and watch it, it just misses the front of the third base bag. I'm talking about by inches. Good choice.
As Ronnie mentioned, the Marlins traded away their incumbent shortstop, Danny Echeverria, just as he was coming off the disabled list. Sent him to Tampa Bay. He's playing for the Rays tonight. And Riddle now anointed as the full-time shortstop. This is his 44th start. He's played since first Echeverria and then Miguel Rojas got hurt. And if you'll remember, he hit that walk-off home run against the Mets back here in April, his first big league home run. He's had 2 since.
Well, he's from Kentucky. He was Mr. Kentucky Baseball. Others who were Mr. Kentucky Baseball, Joe Blanton, Colin Cowgill. 25 years old.
Slowly hit. Duda in to get it. Gsellman over to cover just in time to get Riddle. 1 away. Okay, so the activity we were showing here, it's a water jetpack. So the water comes up the tube, goes into your jetpack, and shoots down, which keeps you up in the air.
Exactly, which produces a stream of water, which keeps you up in the air. The first time I ever saw it done, I saw it done in the south of France by, I won't say who the celebrity was. And let's just say he was not very good at it. He looked like that most of the time.
How is one good at that? What skill is required to be good at the water jetpack?
Segue first. You got to do the segue. If you're good at the segue, you're good at that.
Well, the segue just involves leaning forward, right?
Leaning forward, but you got to have a little bit of balance, I think, is the key.
Dan Strelli, who is 2 for 80. That's not a misprint. 2 for 80 in his major league career. So he's an .025 lifetime hitter, but .040 this year, so he's been hot. Strike 3 called, and that's the second strikeout for Gsellman in the second out of the inning.
Watching Straley bat the few times I've seen him, it's kind of I feel like Yogi would have a comment, you know, if you don't swing the bat, they don't have a very good chance of getting a hit. That's where Straley comes from.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now D. Gordon, who dribbled one up the middle his first time up for a base hit that got the Marlins started on a 3-run first inning. Gordon, a 2-time National League stolen base champ, former National League batting champ, and then last year suspended for half a season for PED use. Had a down year. He's bounced back this year, having a better season. He's a leadoff hitter who rarely walks.
Yeah.
And Gsellman is behind him 2-0. And he tries to bunt his way on. So there's a scouting report out there on the Mets and their ability to charge bunts at third base.
Well, what's interesting on the Marlins bench, Ichiro Suzuki is another guy that, when he let off all those years for Seattle, very rarely walked either.
Chopper for Cabrera. Nice easy hop. And a 1-2-3 inning for Gsellman after the rough first. It's kind of the way it's gone for Gsellman. Bad first, good second. 3-1 Miami after 2. Off against Dan Strelli. It'll be d'Arnaud, then Robert Gsellman, and Curtis Granderson for the Mets in the third. Field side, that'll go foul. 1-2 to d'Arnaud. Travis just trying to get some offensive consistency going. He had a couple of good games in LA, then a Rough game in San Francisco. Batting average languishing at 218.
You really could count his good games this year on maybe 5 or 6, 7 good games where he's really had tremendous 2 home run games against Scherzer and other games like that, but hasn't gotten the, batting 300 for a month or something like that.
The remarkable 16th inning home run here, which is, any catcher's caught 15 innings to hit a home run. You have to really put a feather in his cap for that. Three and 2 to Travis, and he whacks one down the right side. That'll go out of play.
So before the at bat, Travis always puts his bat down, see if it'll cover the plate. So he sees that his bat is covering the outside plate. That's where he wants to put his feet. Carlos Beltran did something similar to that.
And Travis with a 2-hopper to short. And Riddle throws him out 1 away. And that'll bring up Robert Gsellman. And as Gsellman comes to the plate, I want to take a moment to note the passing of former Met pitcher Anthony Young, who died today at the age of 51. AY is best known for the longest losing streak in Major League history, but he was a man of great grace in the face of all that losing. And you played with him briefly, right, Ronnie?
I did. It wasn't it wasn't great years either for those Mets teams, obviously, but he had the ability to somehow laugh his way through it because he had good stuff. And through that streak, he had some games that were really good games. But he always seemed to be on the short end. And, I mean, 51 years old, a little scary.
I will never forget the night that he broke that 27-game losing streak. It was against these Marlins at Shea Stadium. And he came in to pitch the 10th inning and gave up a run in the top of the 10th and was in line for his 28th straight loss. And the Mets rallied for 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th, got him the win, and it was like they had won the pennant. It was mass celebration over the fact that AY had finally broken the streak. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're going through that kind of personal statistical hell, it's easy to get bogged down in your own failures and not be a good teammate. And I don't think that ever happened with Anthony.
It never did. And the one thing is if you wear the orange and blue, you're part of the family forever. And I know that he had many friends on all those New York teams that he played with, and his family and his Mets family will certainly miss him.
Long at bat for Gsellman, and he carves one foul. Gsellman 2 for 21 at the plate this year. That's lined up the middle, a base hit for Gsellman. So on the 9th pitch of the at bat, Gsellman comes through with a sharp single, the Mets' second hit of the night.
Well, Straley kept challenging him with fastballs. Gsellman was late on each and every one except this last one. Line drive up the middle.
He was just lying in the weeds last year when he wasn't allowed to swing the bat because of the bad left shoulder. Had to bunt every time up. He's been turned loose this year, and he's shown a little bit of hitting ability.
Pinch running. He's done it all.
Right. Now here's Granderson, who led off the game, hitting one off the foul pole in right field on Straley's second pitch, and the curveball in for a strike. Pushing the envelope, presented by Pitney Bowes. Curtis with the home run tonight. Now 4 home runs in his last 6 games. 3 leadoff home runs on this road trip. When he hit the back-to-back leadoff home runs in Los Angeles, he became only the 2nd Met to do that. First one, Kaz Matsui.
Really? He has what was the number you gave? 21 now
21
as a Met.
Yeah.
45 as a player. and Ricky Henderson had 81.
It's a long way to go.
Biggio had 53, so he could get there.
I believe he passed by Ian Kinsler tonight. They had been tied. I believe that's the most among active players.
Ever look at Kinsler's numbers?
It's pretty good.
He's on his way.
And Curtis goes down on the changeup. Straley has his second strikeout of the night, 2 down in the inning.
Saw Straley get his first out on that changeup to Lucas Duda on that pop fly to left field. Here it's down the middle, but the change of pace gets Curtis out front.
So 2 out, Gsellman at first, and now it's Dribble Cabrera, who hit it hard his first time up, lined out to Bohr at first base. Bohr's going to play behind Gsellman. I wonder if Robert has the thought process to steal a base here.
3-1 down, I would say no.
But if they're going to give it to him,
yeah.
I mean, he certainly got the speed to do it.
He has the speed to do it, but I've done it before, or thought about it before. And as a pitcher, when you're not on the bases that much, there's this panic that comes over you as you start to think about the consequences of getting thrown out.
By the way, speaking of running, did you see the numbers that came out today about individual base runners? Some of the StatCast information that was compiled, and they put a speed, MPH.
Yeah.
Next to every player. Now the Mets did not have anybody near the top of the list, but what was interesting was who the Mets top runners were. As Cabrera takes one the other way toward the left field line, that'll go into the corner. Ozuna trying to cut it off. Gsellman racing for third. He's going to be held up by Glenn Sherlock, and the Mets will settle for runners at second and third. I thought with 2 out, maybe Glenn would take a chance and send Gsellman home, but with the pitcher running, he opted not to.
I think with the pitcher running and Cespedes coming up, I think that was the play. Good hitting by Cabrera continues to stay hot as a second baseman. And Ozuna, the key to this play is, unlike Cespedes, who let the ball get to the wall, Ozuna got it before it got to the wall and got it in pretty quickly. And I think that made the decision for Sherlock.
Certainly a little more urgency on Ozuna's part.
Watch him get to it before it gets to the wall, and then pushes himself off. Okay, he doesn't get a great throw off, but you know what? Catching it before the wall was the reason Sherlock had to hold him.
First pitch slider to Cespedes for a strike. Cespedes struck out his first time up. Mets have the tying runs in scoring position with 2 down. Gsellman at third, Cabrera at second. Straley not throwing any fastballs to Cespedes. Gets ahead 0-2.
See Straley breathing awfully hard. He knows this is a big point in the game. He saw in the first at bat Cespedes is chasing that slider. Why would you try anything different?
Fastball on the corner, got him looking. Side retired. That's some real good pitching by Straley to get Cespedes, and Strand 2 in scoring position. Third strikeout for Straley. That's wasted double by Cabrera. Straley paints the corner, keeps the Marlins up 3-1. Going to do up third in the inning against Robert Gsellman, having himself a tremendous season, and Terry Collins has noted the development of Ozuna over the last few years.
Well, I'll tell you, I go back 3 years ago when I saw Marcell Ozuna. When he first got to the league, he was dangerous. Then you could pitch to him, really susceptible to the slider. He's changed that. He's fixed that. He's got up on the plate a little bit. He's a lot more dangerous. To me, he's one of the top hitters in baseball. He's got tremendous power to all fields. When he hits the baseball, it's hard.
So Ozuna due up third in the inning after Stanton and Yelich get it started against Gsellman.
You know, Gary, for Ozuna, really what he's trying to do, he had a half a season last year under Barry Bonds. He's trying to put a full season together.
Stanton hit into a fielder's choice his first time up, and Gsellman starts him off with a slider. 0-1. Stanton today playing his 100th game against the Mets. 31 home runs, which ties him with Willie McCovey and Ryan Howard for the most home runs in a player's first 100 games against the Mets. So he has a chance, if he were to hit one today, to put himself in the first spot by himself. Talk about dangerous. Just inside. 2-2 to Stanton.
I like what Gsellman's doing, though. Make him aware inside for strikes, then he can go back off the corner with a slider. Off the plate, though.
And a full count. Yelich on deck, Ozuna to follow. 3-2 coming, and Stanton hammers one foul. Got him swinging on the slider for the first out. Third strikeout for Gsellman.
That was Robert's best sequence of pitches. He made him aware inside. So even though that slider, Gary, is not a great pitch because it was up in the strike zone, he couldn't reach it because he was so conscious of the ball inside. Nice pitching.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Yelich, who had a base hit to left field and scored a run in the first, and takes a curveball for a strike. Yelich last year had a breakout season. 21 homers, 98 RBIs, hit .298. Not even a shadow of that so far this year.
Well, he's doing the same things he's done in the past. He sees as many pitches per at bat as just about any player in the major leagues. But I think he's lost some of his aggressiveness, which he had in the first at bat against Gsellman.
Flores one foul and beyond Flores' reach. 1-2.
You know, we're always looking for trends, you and I, and we certainly know the strikeouts a few seasons ago have continued. The home runs this year are crazy. If the pitchers don't respond by putting hitters, making them uncomfortable and putting them on their seat, they are going to continue to get pummeled this entire season.
Yelich drives one to the gap in right center field, chasing back Granderson, but it one-hops the wall. And Yelich pulls in at second base with a double. He's 2 for 2.
Tried to come inside with the fastball. It was in there pretty well, but Yelich is, I mean, we've talked about it. Surprising that he's hitting in the 260s, 270s.
Also, Granderson was playing him well over toward left center field.
It gave him right center.
Now Marcell Ozuna, who dribbled one in front of the plate and was thrown out his first time up. Let's Let's go to Steve Gelbs' report tonight is brought to you by Volkswagen. Steve.
Well, Gary, moments ago we heard from Terry Collins talking about how much better Marcell Ozuna was versus the slider this year. The numbers really bear that out. He's hitting .316 against sliders this year. The last 2 seasons was under 200 against the slider. And you talk to people around the Marlins, a lot of it has to do with maturity, understanding what pitchers are trying to do to him. But Ozuna said this offseason he also wanted to work on hitting that particular pitch and lowered his hands a little bit, which he thinks has allowed him to get to the slider a little better than he has in the past.
That's a really good point, Steve. And the other thing that Terry Collins said is that he's hitting the ball to right center and right field. That's changed how dangerous he is in the box.
Gsellman behind him 2-0. And gets curveball over for a strike. So if you're a pitcher and you see that, and you can see it on video as well as look at it on a page, how does that adjust the way you would attack him?
Well, you know, he became easy for pitchers because all you had to do was bounce the slider and he was going to swing at it. He's not doing that now. You've always got to have an opening. And if you can cover the slider away, that means you're open at the belt in. I mean, unless you're, you know, the most elite of hitters, then Ozuna's not there yet. Once they are all over something, as more's on deck, and if they're covering that outside, that means they have to be vulnerable inside. Now, making a pitch inside is easier said than done.
And Ozuna foul tips that slider on 3-1. Full count.
So that's a point there where he got the slider, just missed it. Wasn't a good one from Robert. He got away with it.
We're reluctant to call his slider a slider because it really doesn't move very much. It's more like a cutter. He calls it a slider. 3-2 coming, and he struck him out with the slider. So forget those numbers we gave him. Gsellman found the formula for his 4th strikeout.
Well, that one, Gary, was a true slider. If you watch it, it was late and it broke straight down. That has a lot more break than the slider you're talking about that he really usually throws, which is more of a cutter.
So 2 out. Yelich still at second. Now Justin Bour, whom the Mets did not walk with first base open his first time up, and he came through with a 2-run single, and they will pitch to him again. And the fastball off the plate for ball 1. Bour now with 50 runs batted in with those 2 first-inning RBIs. Martin Prado on deck. Again, Gsellman behind 2-0, and Darno's going to run it out there.
Listen, the Marlins have a lot of fine hitters, so you can't pitch around everyone. But coming into this game, this is a matchup I do not like. Gsellman likes to live down in the strike zone with his slider and his sinker, and Justin Bour is a dead down hitter. That's his strength.
Well, they will continue to pitch to him. Behind in the count 2-0. Gets under one to left field, and Cespedes right there waiting for it. And that retires the side. So Gsellman wins the battle against Bour this time and works around the Yelich double in the 3rd. We go to the 4th in South Florida. Mets down 3-1. 3-1. Jay Bruce leads off against Dan Straley, his former Cincinnati teammate, and the first pitch curveball is fouled off. Straley wound up in Cincinnati last year really on a fluke. He was waived by San Diego at the end of spring training. The Reds picked him up, figured what did they have to lose, and he wound up being their best pitcher last year. Won 14 games. And not only that, but after getting him on waivers, they then traded him for 3 prospects in January when the Marlins had a need for starting pitching help, and Straley's done the same for Miami that he did for Cincinnati.
Well, what's interesting about Straley is that the sabermetrics or analytics of baseball have really intrigued him, and he thinks that it's helped his career trying to figure out what pitches to throw on certain counts. He did some, or his friends and he did some algorithms and tried to figure out how predictable he was in certain counts, and he started to become less predictable. And that led to 14 wins last year, and he's continued it into this year.
That may well be. But from a sabermetric point of view, you look at his year last year, high walks, low strikeouts, high home runs. The fielding independent pitching does not like him.
It's a little flukish. It's a little flukish. Much better this year.
Yes, and he strikes out Bruce. That's the funny thing. He's come here, and maybe because he's pitching in a better pitcher's park, his walks are down, his strikeouts are up, and his home runs are down.
Yeah, and he's so much better pitching in his ballpark. Fastball up and away to Bruce there. You know, probably that's why he's been more aggressive in this ballpark than he is in others.
So 1 out now, Lucas Duda, who flied out his first time up. Well, Straley's always been a little bit of an underdog. Cut from his high school baseball team in Oregon. Wanted to go to Oregon State coming out of high school. They rejected him. Went to a small school instead, Western Oregon, but wanted to play big time baseball. And the only team that would let him walk on in Division I was on the other side of the country at Marshall University in West Virginia. Flew across the country, walked on in Marshall, had a great career, and wound up in the big league. Duda tries to hold, but he went around, and it's 1-2.
You notice he works extremely quickly. Jay Bruce, who his teammate, was trying to slow him down. The Mets' other hitters have not done that so much.
Duda just got a piece of the changeup.
I mean, Bohr is right on the line, and that's where he should be. Why? Because Gordon is playing so deep in the shift. Prado next to him as they load up that right side. Bohr should be on the line.
Yeah, anything to his right, Gordon's probably going to get to anyway. And Lucas takes it low, 2-2. Straley's 2-2, and that's ripped down the right field line, and Duda's got himself a hit into the corner. Stanton chases after it, and Duda loops into second base with a 1-out double. So the Mets have their 4th hit against Straley. 3 of the 4 have been for extra bases.
Well, the shift is not going to change, Lucas. He's looking for something middle in to pull and hit hard, and this time he finds a hole. Over the head of Bohr, to the left of D. Gordon. He's got a double.
Can't hit it through the shift. He hit it over the shift. 16th double of the year for Duda, and his 5th extra base hit in the last 4 games. Now Flores, who flied out his first time up. And a check swing tapper. Straley off the mound. And he throws out Flores for the 2nd out as Duda goes to 3rd. So Flores with the excuse me ground out. And now Reyes, who flied out to right his first time up. Mets infield has been a major source of conversation over the last few days with the return of Cabrera and his I want to be traded declaration. Another piece of the puzzle was around the clubhouse today. Neil Walker was here. Looks like his recovery from his hamstring injury is going a little better than anticipated. The Mets are hoping that Neil will be ready to play sometime after the All-Star break. Not too long after the All-Star break, which is only 2 weeks away. I mean, when he first went out, you know, you thought maybe it'd be 2 months.
That's right.
But it looks like it'll be a little bit quicker than that for Neil to recover, if all goes well. And that will complicate the situation even more.
I'll try to make it in the clubhouse for that day.
Fastball strike, 2-1. Well, I will say this. Cabrera made his statement. He was chastised by a lot of people in that clubhouse, including many of his teammates. But he went out and he played really well those first 3 games in San Francisco, and that takes away some of the sting.
Well, you know, it wasn't entirely his fault, you know, 100%. I mean, I think he felt as though he wasn't kept in the loop about what was going on, and he felt like, I don't want to embarrass myself out there at a position I haven't played.
There's ball 4 to Reyes, which is absolutely true. But, you know, Terry's feeling all along was, hey, he's played almost 200 games at second base. He'll be fine. And as it turned out, he looked great playing there in San Francisco.
Well, listen, he's a middle infielder. He can play anywhere. He could probably play third base also. It's just that I think that, you know, they had discussions earlier in the year about maybe Reyes would be more comfortable at short, and that way Cabrera might have to move someplace to make Reyes more comfortable. Hey, listen, it's a sport, but it's also a profession, and free agency looms, and guys want to get a job next year. It's all of those things all together.
Now the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 out for d'Arnaud, who grounded out to short his first time, and he lines one toward the middle, a base hit. That'll bring in Duda. Reyes pulls in at second. Travis d'Arnaud with a 2-out RBI hit to cut the Marlins lead to 3-2. '25th run batted in for Travis.
Well, nice job by Travis, not letting Straley get away with that first pitch. Little slider down and away, and he jumps all over it. The walk to Reyes was the mistake Straley made, and then compounds it here with the base hit to d'Arnaud.
Now Gsellman, who had a base hit his first time up, takes a good rip and fouls one back. Gsellman singled up the middle on the 9th pitch that he saw from Straley, his first time up in the 3rd. So got 3 RBIs already this year. Looking to cash one here, but he hits one slowly. Straley can't come up with it, and Gordon shovels it to first in time to get Gsellman side retired. Reyes trying to come all the way home from second. Gore made the throw home just in case the call gets overturned. Gsellman might have gotten shaken up trying to beat that play at first base, and he'll get some attention from Ray Ramirez. Terry Collins going to come out and have a look as well. Still waiting to see if the Mets are going to challenge the call. But the more pressing concern here is for Gsellman, trying to beat that play at first base. D. Gordon somehow able to shovel the ball after it came off the glove of Straley and get the out.
Well, easy play. If Straley opens his glove, he doesn't, and he kind of just rolls it over there almost. And good play by Bourne, easily out.
Looked like he had pulled up coming to the bag before he got there. Something happened right here.
Yeah.
Grabbing at that left hamstring. That's a familiar sight that we saw Neil Walker do not long ago. So Gsellman, who was running half speed coming out of the box, then turned on the jets when he saw he had a chance to beat it out. Apparently having that hamstring grab on him a couple of steps before the bag right there.
Wow.
A too familiar sight for the Mets in 2017. Gsellman's going to have to leave this game because of injury, and whoever comes in will get as long as they need to warm up. We'll take a break. 3-2 Marlins in the fourth. We'll be right back. Hamstring injury, trying to beat out a slow roller. Paul Seawald will get the call in long relief, and he'll get as long as he needs to get himself ready.
Well, it's been a tougher time for Seawald right now. He's allowed 11 runs in his last 9 innings pitched. Before that, he was as good could be, but this is always difficult to get loose and ready and on the big league mound while everyone's waiting for you to get started. And if you're Terry Collins, I don't know what to think. I honestly don't know what to think, because I just never seen anything like it ever.
Well, currently the Mets have Noah Syndergaard on the disabled list for the long term. They've got Matt Harvey on the disabled list for the medium to long term. They've got Zach Wheeler on the disabled list for what they hope will be the short term. Zach's supposed to throw another bullpen either tomorrow or Thursday, and the hope is that he'll be back in the rotation this weekend when he comes off the disabled list. They just had Rafael Montero do a really good job on Sunday in a spot start, and with Gsellman exiting this game with an apparent hamstring injury, you would certainly believe that Montero is going to get another crack.
You know, if baseball, and I'm not talking about the Mets, if baseball at some point doesn't get these newbie trainers and gets them in a room with some of the old trainers and people that took care of baseball players and how to keep them healthy, and get them in a room and try to tap into some of their knowledge on how you train baseball players, not weightlifters, not six-pack wearers, baseball players. They're doing a disservice to their $1 million athletes that they're paying. It's a joke to watch this happen each and every night.
Well, it's a sport of explosion, right? It's a sport of short bursts, and you know, he's been hurt plenty in his career. There are certain injuries that are unavoidable. Somebody gets hit by a pitch, he breaks a bone, that kind of thing happens. I don't know, are hamstring injuries more prevalent now than they were 30 years ago? I don't know that to be the case, but maybe it's so.
23 years old. You know, it's certain it's happened, Gary, but you know, obviously with all the injuries that are happening, there's got to be a different way to train these athletes. I think they are bigger and stronger, not necessarily built to play 150 games or make 35 starts. That's a problem when that's the nature of the sport.
Well, what was interesting to me about this particular play was the fact that when Gsellman first hit it, he was kind of jogging out of the box because, you know, he's a pitcher and it looked like it was going to be an easy out. Once it hit Streley's glove and it looked like he had a chance for a hit, then he turned it on mid-baseline. Now, whether that had anything to do with him having his hamstring grabbed, who knows? But, you know, those things happen in the course of a game, too. Well, Seawald, who pitched Sunday, a 1-2-3 inning in San Francisco, ready to go back at it. And he misses inside with his first pitch to Martin Prado. So Gsellman goes 3 innings, allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. And out of the game after hurting himself, trying to beat out an infield hit. And Seawald misses with a slider, and it's 2-0. Prado had an RBI double his first time up. Hit one into the left field corner, and Justin Bour was able to score all the way from first base. And right now that run is the difference in this game. And now Seawald quickly behind his first hitter, 3-0. Pitched Thursday in LA, Friday in San Francisco, Sunday in San Francisco. So 3 appearances in a 4-day span. Day off yesterday and back at it today. Fastball strike, 3-1.
Got jumped by Jock Peterson in that one game in Los Angeles on his first pitch. Growing pains of a young man in the major leagues.
Bouncer for Reyes on the backhand. And he guns down Prado, 1 away. Let's pose our Verizon trivia question. Since 2014, there are 3 players in the National League who have hit 100 or more home runs. Since 2014, so that's 3.5 years.
Right to Stanton. Okay, guys.
I'm sure he's one of them. Now here's Real Muto, who struck out his first time up.
So many people hit so many home runs.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, Goldschmidt, I would think, is on that list. Say 3? Is that what the question was? There were 3 of them? Yeah, Stanton and Goldschmidt would be my first 2 guesses. I'm trying to think who the third might be. 0-2, and Real Muto bounces one foul. Through the fish tank.
That is one of the quirks of this stadium I really like, because I'm just an aquarium lover by nature.
I love this stadium. It's completely different from any other ballpark, and it is so of its place
and time.
I mean, the home run sculpture wouldn't fit in any other town, but it fits in Miami. The green on the outfield walls wouldn't fit anywhere else, but it fits in Miami. The fish in the tank, right?
Yeah. I mean, you and I only disagree about the piece of art in center field. Not a huge fan, but other than that, I'm with you with this field.
Cabrera squeezes Real Muto's pop up in the second out. So you are not a big Red Grooms fan.
I'm not a. It's distracting for me. Distracts from the stadium. Now it might distract less if the roof was open a little more.
Well, that's the only thing I don't love.
Yeah.
But I understand why you have to have a roof here, and I just think they close it too often. But they did open it when we were here the last time in April, and that was delightful, although a little windy. It's JT Riddle who takes outside for ball 1.
I got to my room last night. You would have loved this. 63 degrees in my room.
On the air conditioner?
Air conditioner.
Well, I'm sure you turned it up.
Turned it off.
1-1 to Riddle. Well, that's what the sculpture does when a Marlin hits a home run. You got your porpoises, or Marlins, or whatever they are.
Yeah.
You got your water shooting out. You got your birds flying. It's very active.
I'm gonna have to come back to this, because since I have a little guy now, he probably loves that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, kids love the home run apple too.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
is that a distraction?
I'm gonna have to grow up a little bit here. I really have to.
You have to grow backwards.
Grow backwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seawald ahead on Riddle, 1-2. And it's fouled away. I mean, how many other ballparks have a nightclub just behind the bullpen?
How come we haven't been there yet? Have you ever been there?
No.
How come we have not one time, instead of racing to the car and getting in it and going, just for like 5 minutes? I don't think we're allowed more than 5 minutes, to tell you the truth.
Line to left. Cespedes can't get it, and that'll go back to the wall. Riddle's got great speed, takes the turn at second. He'll hold on there with a 2-out double. Well, a bullet that off the bat you figured Cespedes had a chance for, but it really took off.
Yeah, it had some real carry on it. Breaking ball from Seawald. It beat Cespedes to the spot. And I watched Riddle when he attempted that bunt that just went foul, and watching him go home to second and thinking about third on this. This is why Echeverria is no longer in the Marlins uniform, because this kid is an athlete. Who knows how good a shortstop he's going to be, but he's an athlete.
Well, for Riddle, that snapped an 0 for 23 stretch, the longest 0 for a Marlins player this year. Now Straley will try his best to try and make something of it, but as we mentioned, 2 for 81 now in his career. He has 2 runs batted in his career, 1 this season. And Straley thinking about bunting his way on. Tomorrow night, game 2 of this series. Steven Matz makes the start for the Mets. The former Pirates left-hander Jeff Locke goes for the Marlins. 6 o'clock tomorrow, right here on SNY.
Power lefty against the soft tossing lefty.
1-2 to Straley, and that brings us to our city probables. Matz and Locke tomorrow. Seth Lugo Thursday night against Jose Urena, who's been really good for the Marlins. He and Straley have been the best that Miami's been able to send to the mound this year. Seawald takes care of Straley to end the inning. That sends us to the 5th in Miami. No movement from the home run sculpture yet. 3-2 Miami. History 9 years ago, 2008, Mets played a day-night 2-stadium doubleheader against the Yankees, and in the afternoon game in the Bronx, Carlos Delgado set a Mets club record by driving in 9 runs, 3 hits, 9 RBIs, double and 2 home runs. No Met had ever driven in 9 runs before in a game or since.
That was the first game?
That was the first game. And if you remember, Carlos was in a little rush after that game because, you know, we had another game to get to in Queens.
Well, we were being led by the police back to Queens. That was an interesting sight with all the buses and everyone racing to get back to Citi Field.
No, Shea.
Shea Stadium.
Yeah, last year at Shea Stadium. Of course, we would have been better off not rushing because the Mets lost the game at Shea 9-0 that night. But it was a very happy afternoon for Carlos.
Howie Rose thinks I said the funniest thing ever that day. As we get in the buses to go from Yankee Stadium to Shea Stadium, we were having the police escort to get us through the traffic.
Curtis drives one out to left center field. Back in the gap. Ozuna makes the catch. 1 out.
And as we got on the bus, I was looking at the police escort in front of us and Howie's sitting next to me. And I go, boy, Howie, you know, the teams I played with, usually the police were behind the bus, never in front of the bus. He always says that's the funniest thing I've ever said. I didn't think it was that funny. I just was recounting reality.
You were reliving your history and he was reliving it vicariously through you.
That's right.
1 out. Here's Cabrera, who's hit the ball hard twice tonight, lined out to first base and doubled down the left field line. So as Dribble continues his fine hitting since coming off the disabled list, now 8 hits and 16 at bats. Well, the stretching has begun in the Marlins bullpen and the sweeping. Don't forget the sweeping of the rubber. Now, who gets rubber sweeping duty?
That's
that
the
low
guy,
man on the totem pole?
Yeah, least amount of time. That's the guy with the backpack, too. I don't know if they still do it, but the Cardinals, for a while, their bullpen used to all stretch together, like in the 3rd or 4th inning. I think they did it as a lark to be kind of funny about it.
Well, you know, sometimes the closers don't go down to the bullpen until later in the game.
When I asked Dennis Eckersley why he didn't go down to the 7th, he used to watch the game on TV, never go down until after the 7th inning. He said 2 reasons. I want to see how the umpires are calling the game and how you knuckleheads are getting these guys out. That's what he said. And he would go after 7 and get ready to come in.
He didn't say anything about the announcers, did he?
No, he didn't.
Off the corner to Cabrera. By the way, speaking of closers, I don't know if you saw this, but the Washington Nationals signed Francisco Rodriguez today to a minor league deal.
I did see that.
They are throwing darts at a board right now, trying to find relief pitchers anywhere they can find them. K-Rod was let go by the Tigers after a lengthy period of struggle. So we'll see whether he can resurrect himself with the Nats, who need a closer somehow, some way. Cabrera's worked himself from 0-2 to 3-2, and the breaking ball lifted foul down the left side, and that'll go out of play.
Well, I think that makes some sense. As K-Rod, I think he's given up 9 home runs maybe in 25 innings, but you're getting him out of the American League to a different league. Maybe that'll help him iron out his issues. But if he does have anything left, you know he's got the insides to get it done.
Strelly up over 90 pitches with 1 out in the 5th. It's a lot of long at bats. Grounded down to Moore, and he'll take it himself for the 2nd out. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Yoenis Cespedes will take it back to his last at bat with 2 in scoring position on a Jeep pitch cast.
Well, almost perfect pitching by Strelly. First pitch on the inside corner. Second one started on the outside corner and bent out. And then the fastball started off the plate and just darted and split that outside corner. You can't pitch a hitter any better than those 3 pitches.
Most important at bat for Strelly so far tonight. That's how the tying runs in scoring position. The Mets cashed a run against him in the 4th, but now 2 out and nobody on in the 5th for Cespedes. And he hits it right off the end of the bat back to the mound. And Straley has himself a 1-2-3 inning in the top of the 5th. Halfway through in Miami, 3-2 Marlins. D. Gordon first pitch swinging, flies one out to Granderson in center field. 1 pitch and 1 out for Paul Seawald in the bottom of the 5th. Well, Dan Straley appears done. Got the handshakes coming off the mound after 5 innings and 94 pitches.
Well, you know, we had that little line, that little blurb from Mattingly. He said, go as hard as you can for as long as you can, and 5 innings plus is about as far as Straley goes.
So if that's your attitude as a manager, that means you have to get 12 outs from your bullpen every day.
You do. You know where the bat comes from, and Ramos in the 9th and Barraclough in the 8th. The key for the Marlins in this game is if McGowan or Phelps can give them 6 outs. There you go.
1-1 to Stanton, and Seawald's slider is fouled off. If you're just joining us, Robert Gsellman went the first 3 innings. Had to come out of the game after apparently injuring his hamstring running to first base, trying to beat out an infield hit. Seawald now in his 2nd inning of relief. Arlene Garcia is up in the Marlins bullpen, the only lefty in that pen, right?
Yes.
It was interesting they would go to him this early. Seawald leans Stanton back, and it's 3-2. That's Bruce and Duda, the first 2 up in the top of the 6th. 3-2 coming, and the slider struck him out. Not the location that Seawald wanted, but it worked. His 2nd strikeout as he gets Stanton 2 out.
Well, he stood him up with the fastball and kind of a more timid swing from Stanton on that hanging slider there.
Would you characterize that as a backup slider?
It's a backup
just a
slider.
bad slider.
Bad slider, backup slider. That's why Giancarlo was so angry at himself for swinging at it.
Now Christian Yelich is 2 for 2. Yelich is single to left and hit a booming double to right center. Seawald working quickly and throwing strikes after falling behind his first hitter 3-0. It's all gone well for him. gets ahead on Yelich 0-2. There's tonight's starters, brought to you by People's United Bank. Short start for Straley, shorter start for Gsellman because of injury. Seawald ahead 0-2. Bounces that one.
Rare changeup from Seawald.
I wonder what his outer limit is in terms of how far he can go. Is it 2 innings and fly, or could he potentially give Terry a 3rd inning?
I go by the smoker rule, Gary. 81 or bust.
1-2. And he misses away. 2-2.
I think this is one of those times you eyeball it, you know. He's thrown free and easy. He's extremely effective.
Fastball foul back.
You know, if he continues to pitch well and deeper into this game, then you just have to lose him for a couple days.
Well, the Mets are already without their long man because their long man is Rafael Montero, who started Sunday and now is probably going to have to start again, given the apparent injury to Gsellman.
So does this ensure that Wheeler is going to be back in the rotation?
Well,
I guess it would, maybe.
I don't know about ensure, but it certainly makes it more likely. I think that's been the plan all along, that he would come back in this weekend. Seawald strikes out Yelich with a high fastball. So 2 effective innings for Seawald. That's his 3rd strikeout. We played 5 in Miami with the Mets down a run. Against Jake Arrieta, last 2 Cy Young Award winners in the National League going head-to-head. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon. Current Verizon Wireless or Fios customers go to sny.tv/Verizon all season long for access to unique Tuesday night baseball experiences. Marlins Park all sealed up on a Tuesday night. 24-year-old Jarlin Garcia, first man out of the Marlins bullpen.
Well, Garcia started the season in Jacksonville this year and promoted on April 14th. He made his debut against the New York Mets, and here into face Bruce and Duda. You were mentioning, Gary, 4 walks. That's pretty good for a youngster.
4 walks in 25 innings. Bruce is 0 for 2 tonight, grounded out and struck out against Dan Straley, who pulls the parachute after 5 innings. And a call strike to Bruce. Strelly allowed 2 runs, 5 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a home run, and leaves with a 3-2 lead. And Bruce takes the fastball outside, a ball and a strike. Duda on deck, Flores behind him.
Arlene, like many in the Dominican Republic, soccer was his first love, but went to a tryout for the first time, and a left-hander throwing hard, signed immediately.
Was ever thus. There used to be an expression in baseball: if you're left-handed and you can breathe, there's a job for you.
Yeah, they'll send the truck for you.
Rev it up high. Garcia behind on Bruce, 3-1. And Jay pulls one into the shift right at D. Gordon. It comes up on him, but he stays with it. Throws out Bruce, 1 away. Those hops off the grass just aren't the same as the hops off the dirt, are they?
Yeah, they tend to stay down. So that was good by Gordon. He kind of got as low as he could just in case, to ensure that the ball didn't go between his legs.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Lucas Duda, who doubled into the right field corner and scored a run in the 4th.
The shift is on. It seems like Gordon has played more in the outfield in this game than he has in the infield.
They keep the third baseman Prado home until there's a strike on Duda, and then they flip him over to the right side and put Riddle back on the left. I don't think Duda's bunting for a hit here anyway. Down a run. Takes a rip, and it's 2-1.
Of all the players, I think that are in a shift, I would say D. Gordon has to be the best guy you'd want to be playing in the outfield, because he just has so much range, you know, so quick.
Second straight batter. Garcia's fallen behind 3-1. You got Wilmer Flores on deck. You have the right-hander up in the bullpen, and now you get the switch. So they didn't switch on 2-1, but they switch on 3-1.
I guess because down a run, maybe they thought he was going to bunt. He's trying to hit a homer.
That's what I figure. Down a run, especially if you're down 2 runs, different story.
Yeah.
One out and nobody on. 3-2 to Lucas. And it's up and in for ball 4. So Duda's on base with the tying run. Flores will be coming to the plate. Don Mattingly is coming out of the dugout. He's got a right-hander up in the bullpen, and he makes a pitching change. So Garcia faces the 2 lefties, and now he will give way, and Nick Whitgren will be coming in. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Mets down a run in the 6th. We'll be right back to Miami. crew was in South Beach yesterday.
Take a right on 14th Street to head out to the Club Deuce, Gary. It's the place to go.
What happens when I get there?
Great jukebox, great pool table. Dog lies in the middle of the floor sleeping. It's a great place.
Nick Whitgren will be on the pitch now for Miami.
Already his 8th game against the Mets in his young career. For former Purdue Boilermaker. Got roughed up in his last outing, though, against Chicago Cubs. Gave up a couple of runs.
See those monstrous splits. Great against the righties. He's been tattooed by the lefties. He'll get the right-hand batting Flores to start off. And Wilmer fouls one away. And Whitgren, like Garcia before him, has walked almost nobody.
Yeah.
There's 6 walks in 30-some innings. Due to carrying the tying run at first with 1 out. Wilmer's 0 for 2 tonight. He fouls one into the ground, and it's 0-2.
Let me ask you a question. Is Conforto cleared to swing a bat tonight?
We don't know. He was supposed to see a doctor today, and we don't know the results of that. Terry was confident he'd be able to pinch hit, but we don't know what that doctor said. He had had an X-ray in San Francisco. They might have run more tests today. We don't know.
If he was available, I'd be very tempted with those splits to bat him for Reyes.
Well, you could put a Nimmo to bat for Reyes.
Nimmo too.
One and 2 to Wilmer. He golfs one out to center field. Yelich with plenty of room. And that's the second out. Duda goes back to first. So Flores is retired, and now Reyes batting left-handed.
See, when I get into these games, because of the nature of the bullpens, and when you have a split like that, sometimes I want to take my chance sometimes a little earlier, because if Bear Claw's on, you're not going to hit him. If Ramos is on, he's more difficult to hit.
Ugly cut by Reyes on the slider, 0-1. Jose has flied out and walked tonight, 0 for 1.
Good breaking ball from Whitgren.
And you can't look worse than Reyes has on the first 2 pitches.
I think he's guessed twice, and he's guessed wrong twice, because those are the kind of swings that occur when something like that happens.
He needs a better guess.
Yeah.
Maybe the magic 8-ball. Off the corner, and it's 1 and 2.
I'll tell you, the home plate umpire tonight, Marty Foster, has been spot on. Spot on.
1-2 coming, and Reyes takes it just off the plate. 2 and 2. '26-year-old Nick Whitgren, who was Kevin Plawecki's battery mate at Purdue. Duda at first with 2 out. 2-2 to Reyes. On the outside corner, got him looking, side retired. Not a particularly good at bat for Jose Reyes. Middle of the 6th, 3-2 Miami. 3 amazing theme parks, including the all-new Universal Volcano Bay Water Theme Park. Enter the SNY Toyota Fan Flyway Sweepstakes today at sny.tv/Toyota. Third inning for Paul Seawald in relief. And Marcell Ozuna takes the slider outside 2-0. Seawald twice has gone 3 innings or more since coming up to the Mets, including a 3 1/3 inning stint against the Marlins back on May 7th. He threw 59 pitches in that outing. That's his career high. Josh Edgin up behind him in the bullpen, but it's all right-hand hitters in this inning. Ozuna, watch, that's not true. You got Moore on deck, the left-hand hitter, and then Prado. Grounded to Reyes. He gets in front of it and throws out Ozuna, 1 away. So Ozuna now 0 for 3. 1 out and nobody on. Well, that is the latest All-Star voting. Just a few days left in the All-Star balloting, and Marcell Ozuna is among the 3 highest vote getters among outfielders. And can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why do they not have separate balloting for left, center, and right fielders the way they now do with the Gold Gloves?
I don't get it.
There's Justin Bohr.
Because it's a popularity contest. That's why.
Well, I understand that. I mean, for years, the Gold Gloves, they gave out 3 outfield awards. Now they've had the good sense to separate it into 3 different positions. No reason they shouldn't do it for the All-Star balloting. Bohr lines one into center field for his second hit of the day. Second hit given up in relief by Seawald, and the Marlins have a 1-out base runner.
Fastball not sinking by Seawald here. Remember, this is his 3rd inning of work. Ball straightened out, and Bohr took care of it.
Well, I have a feeling had Ozuna gotten on, we might have seen Edgin to come in to face Bohr, but Terry takes a small gamble, leaving Seawald in to face Bohr in that spot. He'll be happy with the single rather than a home run. And now he's got a double play candidate in Prado, who had an RBI double in the 1st inning, grounded out of the 4th, 1 for 2, and takes a fastball for a strike. And that fastball for Seawald that was coming in at 91 or 92, 89 on that last pitch. Ball about to throw his 40th pitch in relief. Spectrum high-speed pitch for the current pitchers. That would be Whitgren and Seawald.
Just skipped over the starters. They weren't there long enough.
We got there late. That's part of that's on us.
Got to stay in the game a little longer.
Could have done the Spectrum in the 3rd inning, but no, we waited till the 6th, and well. And a double play ball right at Reyes. That worked out perfectly. 6-4-3 double play gets Seawald through his 3rd scoreless inning of relief. Nice job by Mr. Seawald. Routine 6-4-3 double play ends the bottom of the 6th. Still a 1-run game. Danny Echeverria making his Rays debut today, the former Marlins shortstop.
Well, Kyle Barraclough in the pitch for Miami last year. He had a career year, 14 strikeouts every 9 innings pitched. That's dropped to 10 this year. His ERA on the road is 1. ERA at home almost 5.5. And you can see the walks, too many for 34 in the 3rd innings.
Travis d'Arnaud leads off, takes a slider off the plate for ball 1. Travis drove in the 2nd Met run with a base hit to center in the 4th. Mets haven't had another hit since. And Barraclough misses outside. You have to wait this guy out. You will walk the ballpark if you let him.
What happens is that with most guys who have a wipeout slider, they use it too much. He throws 95 plus. He should use his fastball more.
Brandon Nimmo on deck to pinch hit. d'Arnaud flies one to deep left field. Back goes Ozuna to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Travis d'Arnaud ties the game with his 9th home run of the year. d'Arnaud takes Barraclough deep, leading off the 7th, and it's 3-3.
Well, you get the count to 2-0. Everyone becomes a fastball hitter, and this ball is supposed to be away, and it's right down the middle. And d'Arnaud, who hasn't put a great string together, every once in a while shows you how powerful he can be.
9 home runs for d'Arnaud, 2 RBIs tonight, and the Mets get back even. Here's Nimmo to pinch hit for Seawald, who did quite a job in 3 scoreless innings of long relief after Robert Gsellman left because of injury. Mets took the early lead on the 2nd pitch of the game on Granderson's home run. Marlins got 3 in the bottom of the 1st, and the Mets trailed every step of the way from that point until now. Nimmo's done a nice job coming off the bench. Had 2 plate appearances Sunday and walked in both of them. He's the perfect guy to bat against Barraclough because Nimmo has such great plate discipline.
He really is. He's so patient.
Granderson waits on deck. That goes in the books as a blown save for Barraclough. Only the 3rd home run he's allowed this year. And a fastball away, and he's behind on Nimmo, 3-1. A lot of Met fans here in South Florida, and they're starting to make plenty of noise. Three and 1 to Nimmo, and he takes ball 4. So yet another walk coming off the bench for Nimmo. 3rd straight plate appearance he's done that, and the Mets get the lead man on for Granderson. 2nd pitch of the game. This is what Granderson did against Dan Strehler.
Inside Marlins Park, 78 degrees.
Fastball down, and everything that pitchers are throwing to Granderson now is being hit hard.
His 11th home run of the year. His 3rd leadoff home run on this road trip. And he takes a fastball inside from Barraclough, and Real Muto is going to run it back out to the mound.
You know, we showed that quote by Don Mattingly that he just wants his guys to be like sprinters, go as hard as they can, as long as they can. The problem you have is then you have put the impetus on your bullpen to be perfect when you have a lead. If they're not perfect, the game gets ugly, and it can get ugly fast.
Only got a scoreless inning from the combination of Garcia and Whitgren in the 6th. Barraclough not so fortunate here in the 7th. Nimmo at first and nobody out. And Granderson lines one toward the middle. There is Riddle to turn the double play. Riddle stationed right behind the bag. Granderson hit it sharply, but Riddle a step to his right, able to smother it and turn the 6-6-3 double play.
Well, I was told by a lot of people the reason they got rid of Echeverria is that this kid could be better defensively. I said I'm going to have to see it. I just did. What a play. Tagged the bang with his wrong tagged the bag with his wrong foot, because that's the only thing he could do to get Granderson in time, and still got something on it.
So 2 out and nobody on, and now Cabrera, who's 1 for 3 today, and tries to lay off the slider, but he went around.
I mean, not only to get it, but then be able to get up, get his right foot on the bag, get away from the sliding runner, and put something on it to get Granderson.
Barraclough gets it over, and it's 0-2. With a defensive hack, manages to foul off the slider.
Barraclough's really hard wipeout slurve has turned into a bigger curveball, and maybe that's why he's not having the strikeout numbers that he had before.
0-2. Pulled down to first. Bohr playing right on the line. That was the right place to be, and that retires the side. But the Mets get even on Travis d'Arnaud's 9th home run of the year. d'Arnaud taking Barraclough deep to get the Mets even at the 7th inning stretch. And 3 players in the National League have hit 100 or more home runs since 2014.
Chris Carter.
Oh, Nolan Arenado. And not Goldschmidt. How about that?
Wow. Goldschmidt had the 1 down year last year, right? He came back a little bit. So
Rizzo, Stanton, Arenado.
Okay.
Should have gotten Arenado. That's bad.
That's bad. He's been one of the best players in the game. Anil Ramirez in the game here for the Mets to take over for Seawald. What a job he did. 3 innings of scoreless relief. Ramirez looking to do the same.
So Ramirez will get the lower part of the order. The JTs, Real Muto and Riddle, and then the pitcher spot. Real Muto is 0 for 2, struck out and popped up. By the way, just so you know, JT Real Muto, Jacob Tyler.
Jacob Tyler, okay.
JT Riddle, Joshua Travis. So they both come by their JTs honestly, but different versions of JT. I mean, we didn't check this out with Elias, but it's got to be the first time teams had JT's bat back-to-back in the batting
Well,
line.
you don't have to check with them. They'll have it in the notes tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Ramirez misses with the breaking ball, and it's 2-1. Jerry Blevins getting ready in the Mets bullpen. More than likely we'll see either Ichiro Suzuki or Derek Dietrich as a pinch hitter in this inning. And Blevins ready for either one of them. Breaking ball down, and Ramirez falls behind his first hitter 3-1, and this has been a recurring pattern with Ramirez, who has walked far too many. His first outing in 6 days. Got touched for 2 runs in LA his last time out. And a 3-1 breaking ball misses, and Real Muto's on with a leadoff walk. So the Marlins get the tie-breaking run on. They scored all 3 runs in their first inning against Robert Gsellman.
Runners on second and third. Pitch to Justin Bour. He came through with a big hit. Stanton and Yelich scoring. And then Prado coming up with a big hit that just stuck up against the wall. Cespedes couldn't get it in on time at all, and Bour scored the 3rd run.
So now the tie-breaking run is on first. The Mets are looking for the possibility of a bunt from Riddle with Ichiro Suzuki out on deck to pinch hit. Flores charging at third base, and Ramirez throwing to first to see if Riddle would give it away.
The thing you have to be careful about, Flores is coming in. I think that's a good play, but Riddle knows how to bunt for a base hit. He might bring it with him towards Duda, and you better be on your horse to make the play because he can fly.
And the other piece of that is if Duda charges too soon, Real Muto can take off. He's the fastest catcher in the game. We mentioned earlier the speed ratings that came out today. We never finished the thought. Real Muto far and away the fastest catcher in the game. The Mets fastest runners: Lagares #1, Conforto #2, Reyes #3. And you'll never believe who was 4th. Riddle pops up the bunt attempt, and it's out of play.
Number 4?
Number 4. It was not Cespedes, who Terry Collins feels is his fastest runner, but probably didn't have enough early season sprints because of the injury to qualify for these ratings. But the 4th fastest runner behind Lagares, Conforto, and Reyes. You'll never believe this. Travis d'Arnaud. Taken high. What that tells you is that the Mets are a team that is devoid of much speed.
I was just thinking you might have a hard time winning a company picnic relay with that force. You know, well, the power game is the game they want to play.
Well, problem is how it hurts you defensively more than anything else. Riddle's been bunting the first 2 pitches. And he lays off the high fastball, and it's 2-1. Well, this figures to be Ramirez's last batter. Ichiro Suzuki on deck to pinch hit, then D. Gordon, another left-hand hitter behind him. But Ramirez not giving a very good accounting of himself right now.
I think Mattingly's going to roll the dice here. A lot of signs from Freddie Gonzalez, the third base coach. Wilmer in so close. Riddle is a guy that likes to punch the ball that way. Let him swing once.
I'd play hit and run here. Run's still on. He pops it up. d'Arnaud trying, but beyond his reach.
It's interesting to watch the fast players when they're asked to sacrifice as opposed to bunt for a base hit. They lose their skills.
Well, can't believe he'll be bunting here with 2 strikes. Flores looks in at Ramirez to tell him he's going to play back now.
Yeah, he says it's all yours.
And if he bunts it, you got to get it. Riddle is not bunting and flies 1 foul.
I'd throw over here. I want Realmuto to know that I need to keep him close.
He's got 3 stolen bases this year. And he almost was going the wrong way.
He was thinking about it.
He might have hurt his hand going back into the bag belatedly.
Watch, see, he was going there. Good job by Ramirez to get it there.
He came up shaking that right hand after jamming it back into the bag. Two coming to Riddle, but first time asked for. Leadoff walk has put Ramirez in a bind. Not going, and Riddle fouls back the high fastball. Hangs in there.
It's interesting, 2 fastballs in a row now after the bunt was taken off by Ramirez, whose best pitch, you'd agree, right, is his curveball or slider.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Riddle. Pulls it down to first, off the glove of Duda and into right field. Realmuto goes to third, heaved over to third by Cabrera, far too late. Well, if Duda handles it cleanly, it might be a double play, but it goes off his glove, and the Marlins have first and third and nobody out.
You know, Gary, there's money plays in winning baseball, and money plays are plays you got to come up with if you're going to win a ball game.
Duda, I think, was already moving toward the bag, thinking he was going to step on first and then get the tag play at second, and just didn't come up with the ball.
Listen, it's not an easy play, but it's a money play. If you're trying to win a game, plays got to be made.
So the Mets are in a fix now, first and third and nobody out. Blevins will come in. We'll be right back to Miami. Chasing after it, and as look would have it, his left hand, on which he has the thumb injury, jams into the ground again. Got some attention from the trainer. Stayed in the game.
It's funny though, he's kind of showing his left hand.
It is, that's the one he hurt. Jerry Blevins in to face Ichiro Suzuki, who takes a call strike.
My bad. No, Blevin has been a savior all year. He's had a couple of rough outings of late.
He had this really strange one in LA when he walked 3 batters in a row. And then he gave up a run in his last outing as well, after giving up a double to Connor Gillespie.
It was the Locust outing, wasn't it?
First and third and nobody out. The infield most of the way in against Ichiro, who has 19 hits this year. He slaps one through the hole, a base hit, and that'll bring in the go-ahead run. Suzuki hits one through the hole. Wilmer Flores ran away from it. Don't know if he would have been able to make a play, but instead of moving to his left toward the ball, Wilmer was moving toward the bag.
Well, this is behind Wilmer. Ball's coming his way. He's going to the bag. I don't understand that. I don't understand the read. The only way that could be a play he was running is maybe he was going to try to pick off the runner at third base. I mean, you hold your position, you react to the baseball. Wilmer did neither.
Well, that just looked terrible.
It looked terrible. That being said, there's no way he's going to make that play anyway. I think the ball would have been by him, but it looked terrible.
Well, that's Ichiro's 20th hit of the year, 3,050 for his major league career. So now the Marlins have the lead. First and second, nobody out. D. Gordon, the batter. Again, the Mets look for the bunt. And Blevins takes a look at Riddle at second base.
Ichiro now 8 for 23 off Blevins, so he's had no problems figuring him out.
Although Blevins got him out in a huge spot in a game here earlier this year, that 16-inning Met win. And Gordon trying to bunt, fouls one off the leg of Darno.
See, in this situation, Flores holds his ground, but Blevins, as soon as he releases the pitch, he's got to bust at a 45-degree angle to cover that third base line, because if Gordon makes too good of a bunt, he's going to be safe at first. It's easier play for a left-hander if he busts over there to take it on the run and throw it to Flores for the force out.
Got good speed at second and at first and at the plate, with Riddle at second, Ichiro at first, and Gordon batting. And trying to drop down a bunt again. What you were saying before, that's the way you bunt for a hit, not the way you bunt for a sac.
That's right. I just can't do it. No one knows how to bunt.
Goodell gets up in the Mets bullpen. A leadoff walk to Real Muto. A grounder by Riddle off Duda's glove for a hit. And then Ichiro Suzuki finding a hole to drive in a run. And now the Marlins looking for more.
It's not a bad play by Jerry, just to make sure if D would tip his hand. I mean, you would think that there's no way he's going to be bunting here.
Certainly wouldn't think so. Stanton is on deck. 0-2 to Gordon. Little tapper, tough play for Cabrera, and he gets the out at first as the runners move up. So it turns out to have the value of a sacrifice. The slow roller by Gordon. Riddle to third, Ichiro to second, and we'll see what the Mets do with Stanton. They sent up to first base without a thought.
Well, good play by Cabrera there. Blevins threw it soft. Gordon hit it softer. So it served to move the runners up.
So Stanton gets the intentional pass. And now Yelich will bat with the bases loaded. Yelich is 2 for 3 today, a single and a double. Seawald struck him out his last time up. Yelich 3 for 12 against Jerry Blevins. And a first pitch curveball out of the strike zone, smothered by Darno. That's tied the game in the top of the inning on Darno's home run. Ramirez couldn't retire a batter. Marlins have played the go-ahead run and now looking to add on. And Yelich takes the curveball for a strike, 1-1. Yelich swings over that curveball, and it's 1-2. So 3 curves in a row for Blevins.
The break and the change in speed is what has the hitters out front when Jerry's at his best.
Do you stay with it? Do you try and bust him in with a fastball?
I would not take a chance on busting him. Start one down the middle of the plate that bends outside of the plate a few inches.
And the curveball down and away, 2-2.
Because of this vast outfield, you can see Granderson and Bruce are very deep in that outfield, so very hard to throw a runner out on a base hit. Cespedes is the only one who's shallow with the left-handed hitter that could have a chance.
Riddle at third, Ichiro at second, Stanton at first with 1 out. 2-2 coming to Yelich. Fastball hit up the middle, a base hit. Riddle is in. Ichiro is in. Yelich with his 3rd hit of the day drives in 2. And the Marlins lead at 6-3.
Well, Jerry Blevins tried to outsmart Yelich after the couple of breaking balls, tried to sneak a fastball by him, and Yelich on top of it. And here's the 43-year-old. Oh, to be able to run like that at 43 years old.
You can't be the oldest starting center fielder in history on Sunday. Can't do that if you can't run. Blevins out. Goodell in. Marlins have 3 runs home in the 7th. We'll be right back to Miami. Here in the 7th inning. 3 runs home for the Marlins. 2 on, 1 out. Marcell Ozuna at the plate. And Ozuna flies the first one down the right field side. A long run for Bruce into foul territory. Reaches up and makes the catch. That's a tremendous play by Bruce, who is playing very deep and had to run a country mile to get there for the second out.
You know, he's playing deep, Gary, and also shading to right center. So full out sprint. A little more room here at Marlins Park than at Citi Field, and able to make the play. Well, Eric Goodell's numbers. He struggled in Las Vegas this year, but he's retired all 5 batters he's faced so far in a Mets uniform.
Now they'll face Justin Bour, who has 2 hits, 2 RBIs today. Marlins now with 10 hits for the night. But a little better defense here in the 7th inning, and this could have been a very different affair.
Problem, Gary, is that this is not the first time you've had to say that this year.
Well, I guess the Mets bullpen is not a good match for the Mets infield, right? You have a lot of teams these days that have strikeout bullpens. Mets don't have that. They've got more finesse arms in their bullpen, and so you require better infield defense, and the Mets infield defense has not been good. And we've seen it again in this inning. Bour takes the curveball for a strike, and it's 1-1.
Defensively, Gary, your players have to get better as the game goes on, because the pressure mounts, and the plays and outs that you need to get are so important. And sometimes the Mets defense goes the other way.
Bour lines one to right. Bruce measures it and makes the catch to end the inning. So Goodell comes in and gets a couple of outs, but the Marlins cash 3 in the bottom of the 7th. 6-3 as we go to the 8th. For David Wright, Adam Rubin has the latest on the Mets captain and what his future holds. Check out the story on Mets blog, presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV. We go to the 8th inning in Miami. Marlins now with a 6-3 lead. And good evening, Mr. Phelps.
He hasn't pitched in a couple days. David Phelps, known from his Yankee days, but he's been down here for a while. He is. Boy, he serves a lot of roles. He's started here. He's been the long man here. He's been the setup man here. He's saved some games here. But the Mets have always had his number. So let's see if they have it again.
Cespedes, Bruce, and Duda with a chance to do something against Phelps in the 8th inning. The starter Dan Straley left after 5. Garcia and Whitgren combined for a scoreless 6th inning. Kyle Barraclough gave up a tying home run to Darno in the 7th, but he's now pitcher of record on the long side. Cespedes takes a fastball for a strike. It's been a bad night at the plate so far for Cespedes. 2 strikeouts and a weak comebacker. And Phelps quickly ahead of him with 2 fastballs, 0-2. There we see the lifetime numbers for Phelps against the Mets. Not all starts. He's made relief outings too. Many of them. Cespedes fouls off the cutter. Well, the Nats behind Max Scherzer, up 6-1 on the Cubs in the 7th, trying to even up that series. Nats barely fell short in a furious 9th inning rally last night.
That was wild.
5-0, got to 5-4, put the tying and winning runs into scoring position before Wade Davis struck out Ryan Zimmerman to end the game. One-two coming. Moving off the plate. 2-2. Bruce on deck, due to the follow. As the Mets try and come back again. They were down 3-1, got even, now down 6-3. 2-2. Grounded to short. Riddle on the backhand. And a long throw. Good stretch by Bohr, and they get the out.
Boy, he got a lot on that throw, not stepping into the throw. On his back foot, kind of flipped it to first base, but had something on it. And like you said, nice stretch by the big man, Bohr at first base. Riddle's been impressive in this game tonight.
Well, the play that he made in the top of the 7th inning on Granderson's ground ball that appeared to be ticketed for center field might have turned this game around. That's a tied the game. They had the go-ahead run at first base. If Riddle doesn't make that play, maybe they have first and third, nobody out, and a chance to get a lead.
Leather late, very important.
Well, you can't watch the Mets in 2017 and say the defense doesn't matter. 2-1 to Bruce.
You know, Gary, last year, I don't know how many times we said this about the middle of the defense for the Mets. Another saving play to end an inning. You know, we said it all the time. That's a big part of their comeback last season.
In many cases, we're talking about the same players who just have not played as well.
That's right.
Not all the same players, but mostly. Phelps behind 3-1, and Bruce might have swung a ball 4 on that cutter. 3-2. Here's your Mets box score brought to you by Verizon. Darno with 2 of the 3 RBIs. He is homered. Granderson is homered. That came on the 2nd pitch of the game. Three and 2 to Bruce with 1 out. And that's inside ball 4, and the Mets have a 1-out base runner. Well, 7th inning, defense matters.
Well, you were talking before about the Riddle play, to be able to dive on the wrong foot, turn the double play. That got them through that inning. But then the Mets, with Ramirez on the mound, Duda could not come up with the ball that could have been a double play. And then for some reason Flores moving to the bag when the ball was to his left, and finally Yelich, after walking Giancarlo Stanton, comes up with a big 2-out RBI.
So now Duda trying to perform a redemptive act. He's got a double and a walk tonight. He's scored a run. Flores waiting on deck. And now it's 0-2 to Duda. Bruce at first and 1 out. And Lucas takes strike 3 called. A cutter on the outside corner. 2 men down.
Well, that ball usually starts on the outside part and just snips the outside corner. It's a good pitch from Phelps.
So 2 out. Bruce still at first, and now Wilmer Flores has gone 0 for 3 tonight. 2 fly balls and a check swing comebacker. And Wilmer takes the fastball off the plate. Ball 1.
It's Marty Foster. We were talking about him before as we saw that overhead. He's had a great night. I don't think there's one pitch I think he's missed all night long.
You haven't seen anybody complaining.
Right.
Wilmer fouls off the fastball, and it's 1-1.
Graders in Chelsea, put your pencil down. I got it. A for Marty tonight.
So you're saying this is one day when we are moving against the tide of the robot home plate umpires?
Well, I'm always moving against it. I like the men in blue.
Wilmer flies one toward the right field line. Stanton comes over. Side retired. Phelps works around a walk. And we go to the bottom of the 8th in Miami with the Mets down 6-3. Mets game wherever you are on any device all season long with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just download the NBC Sports app or visit SNY.TV, your home for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Eric Adell stays in for the bottom of the 8th. Martin Prado takes a strike. Mets have been into their bullpen since the 4th inning after Robert Gsellman left with a strained left hamstring. Gsellman hurt himself trying to beat out an infield hit in the top of the 4th. Paul Seawald contributed 3 scoreless innings in long relief. But the Mets were not so fortunate in the 7th. Neil Ramirez faced 2 batters, gave up a walk and a hit as A.J. Ramos gets up in the Marlins pen. And then Jerry Blevins greeted by a run-scoring hit from Ichiro Suzuki. Later gave up a 2-run hit to Christian Yelich. Neither Ramirez nor Blevins helped out by the Mets defense, and the result a 3-run inning and a 6-3 Marlins lead. Prado drove in the third Marlins run in the first inning with a double against Gsellman. It'll be Prado, then JT Realmuto and JT Riddle.
You like that, don't you?
You mean Jacob Tyler and Joshua Travis? Goodell retired his only 2 batters in the 7th. Now ahead 1-2, and Prado lifts one to center. Granderson back, has plenty of room. 1 away. Well, if you weren't with us earlier, this is how Gsellman left the game.
Well, he realized that he had a chance for a base hit and turned it on about a third of the way down. And once he turned it on, his hamstring grabbed. Left hamstring strain, they're saying. We don't know what it is, so we'll find out tomorrow.
What we don't know is the severity.
Yeah.
You never know with these things until the swelling goes down, but Robert clearly unhappy. The funny thing is, of all the Met pitchers, he might be the most athletic of the whole group, right? I mean, tremendous high school basketball player, and he's been used as a pinch runner this year, and yet he blows out his hammy running to first base.
Perfect conditions with the roof closed.
But it has been Realmuto lofts one foul. Duda gets close to it, but not close enough. And hits that sidewall hard with that slide.
Well, nice hustle here by Lucas. The problem I always have with those pads is they don't go all the way to the bottom.
Right.
So the bottom part is all cement.
It certainly raises the question of why the padding doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Is that for drainage purposes?
I think so. Drainage and cleaning.
So the Mets currently have Syndergaard, Harvey, and Wheeler on the disabled list. Lugo and Matz began the season on the disabled list. If Gsellman goes on the disabled list, that would leave only Jacob deGrom of the Mets' original cadre of starters who has not been struck down.
Afraid to even say that out loud, aren't you?
Well, good luck, Jake. Last man standing. By the way, how great has he been these last 3 starts?
Boy, so special, and to see him, iron out some of the things that were pretty obvious. He knew. Dan Warthen knew. People who watch pitchers know. But be able to do it and go out there and go from, Neil Walker's sitting next to him. You were saying that he was here. Going from not worrying about throwing the ball 100 miles an hour.
Riddle lifts one. Realmuto lifts one to right center. Another play for Granderson.
And getting his mechanics in a way that he throws where he's most effective and always has been effective. Down in the strike zone, on the corner, fastball command, change up against lefties. I mean, it's all right where it should be.
It was very interesting watching him on Saturday, because there was a stretch of maybe a batter or a batter and a half when he was opening up too fast, leaving the ball up and away, and he self-corrected after that. And that's what you love to see, right? Because he knew what the problem was and immediately did what he needed to do to fix it.
I remember when that would happen to me, I'd walk to the back of the mound, and I wouldn't go horse racing, but I would walk to the back of the mound and say a few choice words to myself. Like, come on, let's go. You know what you're doing wrong. Figure it out. and then go back and get it done. That's what it looked like with DeGrom. Who's the most famous JT? You know, you got JT Realmuto, JT Snow is, to me, is the most famous baseball player that I can think of.
JT, though, to me is Justin Turner, because everybody called him JT around the Mets.
Well, you know, celebs, it's Justin Timberlake.
Well,
you know,
he doesn't.
You'd have to run with that crowd.
Doesn't play baseball that I'm aware of. JT, James Taylor. Right?
That's right.
Before Justin Timberlake. 2-1 to Riddle with 2 out. And it's up and away 3-1. In the ninth, the Mets will have the lower third of the order coming up against A.J. Ramos, Reyes, d'Arnaud in the pitcher spot. We don't know if Conforto was available to pinch hit after getting hit on the hand Sunday. Mets have the 2 Riveras in the dugout as well. 3-1. Swings through the fastball. 3-2. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night after the post game. Lots of Knicks news, Jets news, maybe some baseball. Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game. 3-2 coming to Riddle, and he walked him. So a 2-out walk to JT Riddle, first base runner against Goodell after he retired 4 in a row.
You know, I didn't put this one down. The ball that went to Duda that went in the outfield, Cabrera retrieved. Was that a hit for Riddle? Or
yes,
it was a hit?
It was a hit. Tyler Moore will be the pinch hitter. So rather than use his remaining left-hand pinch hitter, Derek Dietrich, Tom Mattingly goes to Moore. Moore has 5 pinch hits this year, including a pinch hit home run. Former Washington National. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
He had that great year. I think he had 10 home runs, maybe in 150 at bats when Davey Johnson was the manager of that ball club.
The thing was, even that year, he was very successful when he played, not quite as successful pinch hitting.
Alabama guy, right? Roll Tide.
Curveball from Goodell for a strike, and it's 0-2. Tell you what, when Eric Goodell is healthy and can take the mound regularly, he's got 3 quality pitches. He can be a piece for this team.
Wonder why. You'll have to ask Frankie V why he struggled so mightily in Las Vegas.
And he strikes him out on 3 pitches, so Goodell takes care of Moore to end the inning. We head for the 9th in Miami. It's 3 runs in arrears. Moore will stay in the game to play first base, and A.J. Ramos will bid for his 13th save of the year.
Well, he's had 11 save opportunities against the Mets, only converted 6 of those. But like you said, Gary, 12 for 13 this year.
Jose Reyes leading off, Travis d'Arnaud to follow, and then the pitcher's spot. And it looks like T.J. Rivera has a bat in his hands, not Michael Conforto. So that, I guess, answers that question. 1-1 to Reyes, who had a very rough at bat his last time up in the 6th. Went down looking against Nick Whitgren after getting all tied in knots. The slider pulled foul. 1-2. Mets 3 runs, 6 hits. The Marlins 6 runs and 10 hits. Miami trying to make it 7 wins and 11 tries against the Mets this year, and 4 of 5 in this ballpark. 1-2 coming, and Reyes slaps one to shallow left right along the line. It'll land foul just beyond the reach of Prado.
Prado's been on the DL a couple times. He's back in form. Good hustle to try to get to that ball.
It's quite an effort.
Yep. We always sing his praises. He's a ball player.
Well, there's Conforto on the bench, but clearly not available, because if he were, he'd have a bat in his hands right now. We don't know the results of whatever testing they may have done today. We only know that the x-rays on Sunday on that left hand were negative. Reyes pulls one into right field for a leadoff hit. So the Mets get the first man on against Ramos. Met hit number 14-17 for Reyes, one behind Ed Kranepool.
This is a spinning little slider from Ramos right in the middle of the plate. A bullet to right.
So the Mets need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. Travis d'Arnaud's had a big night already, an RBI single in the 4th, and then the tying home run in the 7th, his 9th of the year. T.J. Rivera on deck to bat for the pitcher. And d'Arnaud gets one out to left center, playable. Yelich moves over and puts it away for the first out. How has the game changed? Tying run on deck, 9th inning.
That's right.
Have to take a strike, right?
That's right.
Not anymore.
You got to make the pitcher work. That's the whole thing. But I think what they'll tell you now is that you can't give a strike away to these closers. I disagree.
Well, I think it depends on the closer.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're not talking about an overpowering guy on the mound.
If it was Chapman, it'd be a different deal, right?
So now TJ. He started Sunday in San Francisco, went 2 for 5. And takes it low and away for ball 1. And with Granderson standing on deck, certainly an enormous plate appearance here for Rivera, trying to get aboard and get Granderson to the plate as the tying run. Reyes at first with 1 out. And TJ takes a slider for a strike, and it's 1-1. A.J. Ramos, now 30 years old, his 6th year with the Marlins. All-Star last year for the first time. And he bounces that one. And down to second goes Reyes. That's about as high as I've ever seen a wild pitch bounce.
Well, these are the little things. As you see, Real Muto runs up his arm, and that's why it went so high.
And hit the home plate umpire's mask on the way up.
These are the little things that is separating Real Muto from making the next step to being one of the elite catchers. It's late in the game. He just called for a curveball. That's a ball he's got to try to block and not backhand.
So that takes away the double play chance. Reyes at second with 1 out on the wild pitch. Breaking ball in for a strike, and it's 2-2.
Here's the overhead, runs up the arm. Watch it hit the umpire's mask. Boom.
And straight up.
And then Real Muto had no idea where it was.
Two coming to Rivera, and TJ fouls it away.
Ramos is very fidgety closer. Does the same thing every time. Once he gets on the mound and gets a sign, he'll kind of lean in, and then he has 4 little steps with his front foot before he delivers the ball to the plate. The lean in, the sign 1, 2, 3, 4 every time.
Popped up. Out goes Gordon into shallow center. 2 out. Well, he'd have to do the same thing every time, otherwise it's a ball. Right?
Exactly.
So the Mets are down to their final out. Curtis Granderson coming to the plate. Curtis got the festivities started tonight on Dan Straley's second pitch. He hit one off the foul pole in right field for his 11th home run of the year, and his 4th in the last 6 games. Right now just needs to get on base to keep the line moving and keep the Mets alive and get Cabrera to the plate as the tying run. 3 infielders on the right side against Curtis, who's 3 for 8 against Ramos, and takes the backdoor slider for a strike. Marlins view 6 pitchers tonight. Dan Straley went the first 5. Kyle Barraclough gave up the home run to d'Arnaud to tie it, but he's pitcher of record on the long side. Ball and a strike to Granderson. Neil Ramirez is on the hook for New York. Faced 2 batters, retired neither one. Granderson takes a strike, and the Mets are down to their last strike of the night. Reyes is going to take off for third because there's nobody on that side of the infield. They give it to him on defensive indifference, and that's about as indifferent as you can get. 1-2 to Granderson, and it's in the dirt, knocked down by Real Muto to keep Reyes at third base, and it's 2-2.
There's a good play by JT. Catchers too, sometimes they just get lazy back there. It only happens every once in a while. Got right in front of it, hit his chest protector, and up into, knocked his mask off.
So we got one off the umpire's mask, and now one off the catcher's mask. Granderson battling, trying to keep the Mets alive. And Curtis lifts one to left. Ozuna, a hop, skip, and a jump, and the ball game is over. The Marlins score 3.